Hello, my name is Kyle Roderick Gridley, and the devil is in the details. But that ain't no reason for him not to answer my emails. It's Rose-Colored Classist, episode 66. And I'm missing 1-6. I'm missing one hot six. Hot six. It's an energy drink in South Korea. But this is a podcast on episode 66. A hot number, 66 hours. 66 hours of me yapping. Okay, it's about 69 weeks of me being alive. Have I changed? Do I look different? No, it's been 2.5 days of me podcasting out there on the internet. About 3,000 minutes. Yeah, I'm trying to get into numerology to try and add some depth and meaning into my life. Okay, because, I've done 66 of these podcasts, all right? And, I could just say that I've done around, 60, 70 hours of honestly below average podcast style comedy. Or I could apply a math to my words and get some intrinsic value out, get some intrinsic meaning out of all the time I've spent here. Yeah, 66. It's double 33. 33, that's that number. That's that number George Washington made. George Washington is a Freemason, made the number. It's all connected. Look at the numbers. Look at my life. It means something. Yeah, I'm about to turn 31. What does that mean? Can the occult come here and give me some meaning, all right? Because I'm looking around and my life is empty. My life is empty. No, I'm in the throes of male pattern baldness, and I'm looking into numerology to fill the void in my heart. Yeah, I just pluck out one hair. I was like, oh, 1 hair, 2 hair, 3 hair. Oh, 3 hairs. Means something. It's psychic. It's fucking magic. Please, God, let it mean something other than I'll be hideous. No. I would like to think with my balding, like no one's ever seen this gradual balding before, right? Because, here I am every week and you get to see just how bad it gets and how bad it's gotten. I hope to think that I'm the only person who's ever balded in this perfect, odd way, all right? And it makes sense, too, because I've been on a lot of remedies, put a lot of crap in my hair, put a lot of natural stuff in my hair, a lot of unnatural stuff, taken a few pills. I used to take this thing called 3-in-1, Hair Omega. I took a DHT blocker and my tits got real big, okay? No, seriously, I apologize to anyone watching me right now and looking at my hair. I apologize to you. And I'll be serious, I don't think I'll ever make it until I figure out this haircut. Okay? That's a great hallmark of someone who's about to make it. What's their hair doing? What's their No, I'm never going to get popular if I don't get the right haircut. No, track someone's career, track how successful they are, and you can see that every era, every moment is tied to a very clean, well-prepared haircut. Okay? Sure, there are other factors, but really think about it. Who is the most famous and powerful person in the world right now? Donnie T. Donald Trump with the haircut, okay? Yes. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, that's not the question. The question is it iconic? Whatever I got going on, whatever this is, whatever this is, my haircut, not iconic. Not right now. Not the way I'm doing it. Not the way I tell my barber to do it. No, really. I think we should change all of society and reorganize it based off of haircuts. All right, forget religion, forget race. Let's organize people based on their haircuts. How does that sound? Sounds like a better world? Maybe I'm being racist, actually. Maybe that's more of the race stuff, but I need something to bring us all together, and I can't figure out quite what it is. Who is it? What is it? The person, the thing that's going to bring us together? What is it? Hold on. I'm getting beamed some information here. It's Candace Owens. Candace Owens is the person, the thing, the unstoppable entity that's going to fix the whole world. Please, guys, let's enjoy it. I told you last week, it's gonna be the Candace Owens show. Please, Candace, tell us the good news.
You are here. We are all number one in the world. It's been trending on Twitter. It's been so exciting. Look at this. I will never forget this moment. Candace Owens' podcast hits number one worldwide. Best part, without promotion, which means we have not spent, since we started this podcast a year and a half ago, a single dollar on advertising. Okay, because we couldn't do it. We were a startup. I was fired. Things were down. It was real bad. And yet we are the number one podcast in the world. Grok summarizes it this way. I'm going to read it. Conservative commentator Candace Owens announced on Thursday that her independent podcast, Candace, has reached the top global ranking according to Podscribe data, following her 2024 departure from the Daily Wire. She credits the organic growth to criticism, legal challenges, including a defamation lawsuit from French President Emmanuel Macron and First Lady Brigitte Macron, and her small team's resilience. Owens attributes the milestone to divine intervention amid ongoing media attacks. Fact-checked. It's just true. All of it's very true. I am so excited. I would like to thank everyone but the Academy, because the Matrix hates me. I will never win any more accolades, probably never be invited.
She's number one, baby. Candace won. She's number fucking one, and she won. Okay, she's like Oprah WINFREE, making us free. God bless you. God bless you, Candace. Congratulations. Here from the bottom of the podcasting world. There you are at the top, and I'm so happy you're there. Really. Finally, it's not a comic. Okay, I actually believe that whatever podcasting is, whatever this whole fucking thing is, a person like Candace, that is who should be on top. Okay, yes, it's the real, like, distillation, the perfect distillation of what this genre should be. Okay, if these communities out there on the internet, you know, if they have one desire, if they want to do something, it's the type of stuff Candace is doing. All right, it's investigative. It's building a community. Like when people, you know, they interact with Candace, they don't ask her questions. They send her tips. Okay, bringing everybody in on the business. This is what it is, and she's serious, smart lady. She ain't trying to turn anybody. She ain't trying to fucking convince anybody. She's just telling you the facts. She's got a position, sure. And she wants you to believe her, sure. But out there backing it up on top of a lot of stuff. Now, why is Candace number one? I think we should hear it from her. I think we should let her figure it out. And so let's please, more of her. Can this whole podcast just be a replay of her show? Can it be? It will be. All day long.
Could not have done this without all of you guys for letting me know that it's okay to just be honest. And it was definitely a trying year, realizing that, especially now, the conservatism thing. What is conservatism? The Republican Party is going through a moment. I don't want to be tied down to the Republican Party, and I want to be able to say something against Democrats and Republicans. And we're doing that. We're speaking truth. We're going to continue to speak truth, and we're very excited today. And one of the things that we are speaking truth about right now, and which my haters are like, it's because you're talking about Charlie Kirk. You know, you guys change this every month. First it was, oh, it's because of the Brigitte Macron thing. Oh, it's because of the Kamala Chronicles. Oh, it's because of the Blake Lively lawsuit. The common denominator here is me looking for truth. And I think people are catching on to the fact that I'm sincerely looking for truth, and I don't care what enemies I make along the way. And obviously, I'm making a lot of enemies right now, for some reason, looking into the Charlie Kirk assassination and the lies that we are being told.
Bitch is number one, and you know why? It's because of her. She is the common denominator. Yeah, I'd like to think myself, myself, and I, giving off real Snoop Dogg vibes. You know, when Snoop Dogg won that award that she'll never get because she's out of the Matrix. She's fighting the people we need to fight. This is why. This is it. Okay. I mean, she had a journey. She's been going along a fucking path that is wild and crazy. Her story is interesting. All right. And what inspires her to get out of bed and stop taking care of her children? It's the truth. It is the fucking truth. Why is she number one? She's number one because, you know, what we want out of these podcasts, out of these shows is a new paradigm, a new set of rules. Okay, I don't have to believe her. I don't have to think what she thinks. But what she's offering is a new type of perspective to analyze the events that, are controlling our lives, basically. Candace offers a definitive, specific point of view. All right? And, whatever that perspective is, it's hers and hers alone. Okay, by definition, sure. But, she's offering a new way, a new path. And it's impressive, okay, because she is one of those people who was previously in a lane, right? That conservative lane. The reason everybody hates her so much is because she was in that fucking conservative right-wing lane, saying all the things that they all make them say over and over and over again. But now she's positioning herself outside of it. Okay, there's the right, and then there's the left, and then there's what do they call that? The middle. She's placing herself in between those two forces who are constantly doing battle. And, you see her mentioning the shit, the culture war shit. It's a little serious, too, with the assassination, which we will talk about tonight. We will talk so much about that tonight. But, it's given a lot of help to people who have given up on both sides, given up on a particular side. And you see her through her journey being on one of those sides, and then you see her turn around and spit in the face that, buttered her bread for so many years. And this is what most Americans want right now. They want somebody who says, fuck everyone. Fuck the institutions. Fuck the businesses. They're all lying pieces of shit. Okay? And to what extent they're lying? I mean, that's up to Candace to investigate. It's up to her to reveal the truth. But what is making her popular? What is pushing her along? It's the obvious rejection of a paradigm that has defined our lives generationally, okay? She is rejecting a perspective, a paradigm that she herself was, trapped in at a level that a lot of us will never even get to in the first place, okay? I mean, she has ties to the Daily Wire, right? She has ties to the Prager University. You guys know what the fuck that is. And, and she's been all over this side, all over Fox News, all over Turning Point. It's like, Candace she's at this fucking precipice that we are all at, about to fall right over. And, she gets a little crazy, sure. But how could you not? I mean, you see this dime flip, okay? And it's empowering. It's been inspirational. We've all voted a certain way, have always had these beliefs for so long. And you watch, what this bitch is going through, and it gives you some hope that you can maybe turn around yourself, or even, entrench yourself further. I mean, she's pushing you and pushing you. And what's great about her? I mean, she is someone you can accept the truth from, all right? She is someone that if she postulates the truth, that I think a lot more than other people, you can give her the chance to believe. You can give her the chance of your belief. And when you hear something from this woman and you're trying to categorize it in your head as if it were true, that's a legit option, all right, compared to a lot of other people. Because what's her agenda? What is her agenda? Everyone out there talking has an agenda, all right? I mean, you hear comedians and politicians, and they peddle, but what do they want, right? I mean, a lot of the times, comedians and politicians, they are pushing the imagination, right? They're trying to summarize past events and push an implication for the future, okay? They are figures and avatars for ideas and feelings and hope, okay? Their identities are not about what is true. It's about what's possible. Okay, and when you hear a lot of these guys talk, it's like, most of the point is they're trying to sell you on a position, sell you the bit, sell you the platform. Here, I hear a good argument. Sure, I'll accept it and try to, incorporate it. But when it comes to believing these people as if it were true, it's hard to do it. I mean, they're obviously trying to sell something. I mean, I'm a comedian. This is a funny podcast so far. And if I'm trying to sell anything, it's a laugh. But what is she selling? I mean, she's trying to fucking market the truth. This is what she's doing? The truth? Something historically unmarketable? Yeah, I mean, if you're into peddle the truth, you're just setting up your own demise, okay? Eventually, you'll be proven wrong, all right? You'll lose all your credibility. And, hasn't that not happened enough in the world already to where we see that if you try and, go down and say what's true and believe it, they'll fucking murder you? I mean, this woman is staking her life on the things she's saying, all right? And she's messing with powerful people, and we all know what that's about. We all know that what the powerful can do. We all know. We're all very worried about it, okay? They can pretend to be trans and be in charge of France, and, whatever, maybe they're some fucking fake cutout person, and who knows what their true identity is and true nature actually is, and we're very, very worried about it. This woman, she has a position, she has a mission, and you can trust in it, all right? And, you hear a politician talk about their lofty goals, and why? Why are they doing that? I mean, to achieve power, and power is a means to itself. And I look at what Candace does, and I go, what the fuck is she really trying to accomplish here? What in the fuck is she trying to do? Take us out of the matrix? Yeah, no, she's trying to give us power and information so we can reason for ourselves, okay? I mean, she has to be number one. She has to be right now. And she is, and, she gets all the money and fame that comes with it. But the position that she has put herself inside the universe, I mean, it's far too precarious, okay, for too little upside. It is far too dangerous for a lot of downside, big downside. And when she does that, it puts her in a position that it is impossible for me not to take her seriously. And that is absolutely the name of the game right now, all right, to be taken seriously or not to. And this is why comedians are so popular and they're getting very political, is because we straddle the line, we play with the line, and, if someone were to go out and take us seriously, we can always balk and back up. But this woman, I mean, this is it. Look, if you're a comedian, comic or actor, entertainer or musician, it is idiotic to take you seriously, however earnest or genuine or maybe even good your ideas are. Okay, and if you're a politician, how can I take you seriously when the system is so corrupt? All right, and we've been failed by Obama and Trump and every fucking icon you can imagine. I mean, this woman has set up the context perfectly that she should be taken in. All right, she has set up her audience with clear parameters for how to consider her words. It's genius. She's a lady genius. I'm really proud of her. Number one. She's number one. And she is number one because she is the only one satisfying the hunger of the American people. Okay? The American people, we've been sold enough aspirations. Are we seeing our dreams crumble before us? Okay? And, we need someone from a position of strength and believability to tell us, how we got there in the first place, how it all really happened. And that is the spirit of new media, okay? That is really what it's supposed to be about, all right? And not going on some fucking Matt Walsh talking point, all right? Not entertaining people with no purpose, as I am doing. It's the good truth. It's the good truth that is not sellable to people. You just got to go with it. And that's what it is, all right? And I'm so happy today is the day that comedians are finally not at the top. Okay? I yearn for the day that comedians, find a better outlet than these podcasts and new media. Okay? We will transition out of this. Comedians will. All right? I mean, we started the whole thing for you guys. Okay? Joe Rogan, Bill Maher, Daily Show. Salute to you guys. But this is really the thing is nowadays is trying to figure out who is serious and who is not. And obviously, Candace is the arbiter of that. All right. We're going to go on to a little bit, and then we're going to do a phone call about more of her content. Okay. She did this little segment on her show recently, a little tweet from our adorable head of the FBI, Kash Patel. And I want to highlight her humor in here as a tactic. Okay, the clip is going to go on a little long, but we got to get a hold of the whole thing. okay? Because she is the perfect example of what people should be doing out there. So let's see Candace light the fire and begin roasting, huh?
Over the weekend, really, guys, we are just not a serious nation. That's what I want you to know. After this tweet, I realized we are not a serious nation and the empire is in its decline. I actually think I want to be Russian right now after what Kash Patel tweeted. Kash Patel made me want to be Russian like tomorrow. Like, I'm going to go live with Putin because at least he's like a serious person, right? And Kash Patel is no longer serious. So the backstory is Kash Patel, he had a marriage breakup. He starts dating this cute little thing, Alexis. She's very cute, very pretty girl. Makes videos online. And I don't know. I guess he flew down in his FBI plane to go see her down in Nashville. People found out that he went to go see her down in Nashville. The internet revolted and said this is an inappropriate use of taxpayer funds. And what Kash Patel did was he wrote this like Andy Cohen hosting the Real Housewives of DC or something type tweet where he defends his girlfriend. I mean, how old is this girl? But seriously, she's young. She's very young. And this is what he wrote. I'm just going to read it because it's so embarrassing that we have to read it. And then I'm going to get a passport to Russia. Okay, here is the tweet. From the director of the FBI, people, buckle up. America's so serious. We're big and we're bad. Ready? I am proud of the work of this FBI. We're taking violent criminals off the streets in record numbers, crushing the fentanyl crisis, dismantling cartels, saving children, hunting down terrorists, and so much more. Let me be clear, we will not be distracted by baseless rumors or the noise from uninformed internet anarchists and the fake news. I've always said, criticize me all you want, but going after the people doing great work, my personal life or those around me is a total disgrace. The disgustingly baseless attacks against Alexis, a true patriot, and the woman I'm proud to call my partner in life are beyond pathetic. She is a rock-solid conservative and a country music sensation who has done more for this nation than most will in 10 lifetimes. I'm so blessed. Sorry, pull that back up. I gotta finish. I'm so blessed that she's in my life. Attacking her isn't just wrong, it's cowardly and it jeopardizes our safety. My love of family will always be my cornerstone, and you will never tear that down or keep me from them. I and this FBI will stay laser focused on our mission and continue the reform that we promised, rebuilding this borough from the ground up. This is embarrassing. Objectively, Alexis, she seems like she's a really sweet girl. She is not a country music sensation. It's sweet that you call your girlfriend that, okay? There is no question that Vladimir Putin and the homies left. They did, without question. They're on a group chat right now. Ha, ha, ha. Oh my, it's a country music sensation. His girlfriend, she's upset. He's only been dating her, by the way, for like a year and a half. Okay, like this is like, it's like a new girl that he's dating. And we're talking about, just to remind you, in case you're just tuning in, we are talking about the director of the FBI, and we are supposed to take away from this that we should have faith that he is emotionally stable enough, that he has steeled himself for this investigation into Charlie Kirk's murder. Like, we are supposed to believe this is not a crash out. It lets people know that America is weak. Like, you need to be very reprimanded for this tweet. Could you imagine Vladimir Putin sending this tweet? Could you imagine any of his henchmen? Immediately, they would be fired. And that's why I would like to, again, plead with you guys to consider, when I run in the future for dictator of the United States, to consider how I will deal with this immediately. I will sentence him to a month of hard labor. Obviously, that's the only correct response to Kash Patel writing this, like, I don't like these mean girls tweet. It's ridiculous.
Roasted Kash Patel, burning money. Yes, Kash, the true romantic, and Candace, a mother with a 4. She would know a little something about romance. All right. Again, her perspective, nailing it. We'll talk about it a little bit more. But first, let's just do a bit, huh? I'm a comedian. Let's do a little bit, a little bit. All right, and here it is, Kash, with this weird tweet. Look, man, hey, this is normal cop shit, okay? Cops are crazy when it comes to women. I don't know why cops are always acting crazy when they're fucking some bitch, okay? I'm sure it has to do with the fact that they're in like control of people's lives and deaths, and they can incarcerate people. And, you know, when a girl doesn't do what a cop wants, you know, there's a little thought in his head. It's like, you don't want to suck my dick? You don't even know who you're messing with. You want to get him put in jail for not sucking my cop dick right now? This is what these guys think. This is the train that they go down, okay? And so when a girl is in a relationship with a cop and she doesn't give no back talk, doesn't give him the shit, the normal chick shit, okay, with her little silly cop boyfriend, I mean, they go crazy for it. In their cop brain, they're like, this girl knows I could kill her. This girl knows I would kill her and cover it up easily. Yet, she's still in love with me. Yet, this silly slut still blows me. It's crazy. And so they go crazy. They go off of it. They start talking moronic, all right? But listen, it's either this lovey-dovey bullshit or domestic violence, okay? He's a cop. Yeah, either they're like punch love drunk or they're drunk punch the love, all right? This is what it is. He's desperate. He's cop desperate for a good nice lay. They will do anything. Cops will do anything within their power to get laid. This is most of why they do it in the first place, okay? And this is coming from a comic, okay? I know that feeling. I know the feeling of choosing a career to get laid, all right? And they need a lot of adoration. Cops need a lot of positive feedback, okay? And sure, I mean, you know, this girl, she's out there and supporting him. She's supporting him. And isn't that beautiful? All the adoration. She's like, yeah, you could kill me at any time. You kill me at any time, but I'm still here for you. I'm still here for you. Gun to my head. Still here. And I love you. And love me harder. Push the gun in harder, actually. Yeah, that's what I like. I mean, sure, Kash Patel's girlfriend's actually a plan for Israel. Everybody knows that. So imagine him. Imagine him in that situation. He's like, wow, this woman sucks my cock, knows I could kill her. She helps me get paid by the only people paying anybody in politics. She's perfect. She's sucking my dick, and she's getting me millions of dollars from a foreign government. Ah, the beauty. She's helping me rip off the taxpayer. Oh, what a wonderful woman. And so, yeah, he just goes off. Goes off in Crazy Town. Yeah, she's perfect. And for some reason, I love country music now. I take my gun, I put it to my head, and I go, I love country music. Okay, so yeah, you let him talk. Let him talk about his girl like this. Let him. Come on, Candace, why are you being so mean to him? All right, it's either this or Cash is going down for some DV. All right, but to slap a TRO on him. Okay, cops are sick when it comes to chicks. I'm serious. All right, this tweet from this cop is gonna delay the inevitable murder-suicide that's gonna happen. All right, poor cop, poor Cash cop, Cash the cop. Now, onto Candace's use of humor as a tactic. All right, because again, I mean, she's a serious person, has established herself to be serious. All right, and she's using humor. And this is what I'm all about, is comedians and this conflation with reality. And, you know, you see someone like her be humorous, it's worth me getting into, okay? Because, yeah, here it is. All right, humor is only a tactic. All right, she's using it as a tactic, and it's only ever a tactic. It is something to be used in the battlefield of social interaction. Okay, humor is a maneuver. All right, it is not part of some grand scheme to win the battle of the world, okay? Humor is like, you know, illustrative, all right? It's a drawing of a real-life circumstance, a social situation, or conversation, and it's not a serious attempt at winning a rhetorical battle, all right? Humor and comedians, it's powerful. It seems like one of the only ways that we can communicate with one another without intentionally pissing each other off. All right, and this is why we like it so much, and this is why there's a job out there trying to perfect it, okay? Because it is a useful tool in an arsenal rhetorically, all right? But, you know, it's not the end-all be-all. You can't just only do that, all right? It's only useful as like a ploy or a trap for someone to fall into and confuse themselves and admit to something that they ought not to have. It is not like a general strategy to go on. And this is what I'm always so mad about. Okay, being humor is not cover. You know, being humorous is not cover. All right, being funny is not a fucking a way to change people's minds. Okay, And, I go on and on about it. And when I say it, it doesn't mean that a person like Candace can't use it and can't be funny. I mean, she genuinely is funny. I mean, look at the charisma just oozing off of this woman. She's so wet with charisma. Yeah, and she's made it very clear about what her goals are and who she is, all right? She's created so much space for herself to be taken seriously that an attempt at humor, it can be understood correctly. All right, and you can contextualize it with people like John Oliver or all the Daily Show hosts and whoever's writing that fucking nightmare, and the rest of the circus. Okay, and they're always trying to make lofty fucking points, trying to get into something and take a take. But these guys never do the work to be understood correctly. Okay, like juxtapose these shows and Candace to the big dog, Tim Dillon, cock-loving Tim Dillon. All right, someone is also at the top, and he could be number one, but he knows his role. This is someone who is often taken too seriously, but he has defined his perspective and said enough insane things to where you look at him right on the line and you go, okay, joking, not serious, and he's categorized appropriately. And this categorizing of personalities, this is the most important thing going on right now. All right. The important thing is contextualizing everyone speaking to you. All right. And whether or not to believe them outright, say how earnest and thoughtful they are, or taking what they say, letting it hit your brain, but not letting it penetrate. All right. And then you see a guy like Kash, his little personality, he's in a category, an FBI director, and yeah, man, he's not speaking appropriately. None of these guys are speaking appropriately, doing their position right, and it's time for the ridicule. All right. Humor is a beautiful, wonderful thing, but when you got to consider who it comes from. All right, and whether you think they're serious or not, this is it. This is the shit. So, we're going to get in a person to talk about more of what Candace is laying out, the real thing Candace is laying out, top to bottom with the Charlie Kirk assassination. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, and he's a friend of mine. We've had him on before. We had him right when it all happened, and we're going to try and get after more of the seriousness of Candace, right? More of what she's really, really getting known and famous for. And it's not the topic, it's her clear perspective. So let's do it. Let's bring him in. Come on down, Kevin Bennett. All right, Kevin Bennett, comedian, musician, and author. How are you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm hanging out, being groovy, chilling on a Friday night in the Black Hills. Got the first snow of the year. Well, second snow, but this is the one we actually got a little cover in the grass.
Oh man, is it gonna keep going? You gonna get sledding? What do they do up there with the snow nowadays?
There's a little ski lodge right by where I live, so it's pretty good in the winter. There's people, they train on skis and snowboards and stuff, and there's usually a show or two at the lodge.
Okay, you got a little club? You got a little club down there, or what?
It's a music thing. I think last year, one of the bands I'm in, we played it, and I ended up doing the auction out of the blue, which was kind of like comedy. Auctioning is an angle, and I want to try and fit it into French accent somehow. I tried it once and it didn't work out, but I want to figure it out.
Yeah, well, that's the perfect thing about comedy is, you don't have to be serious. You can have fun. You can keep experimenting, changing, and trying,
Well, ideally. I mean, ideally, yes.
The business, right on. Okay, talking about you for a second and your perspective. Yeah. This is what I've been on about all day on this podcast is, we're real people, sure. But when it comes to job titles and careers and perspectives, I mean, it's, what do you self-identify as when you come at any particular issue or person?
Well, if we're being particularly frank, I am trying to look at things through the lens of Scripture as it applies to me.
Just like Candace Owens.
Well, to a degree. She's got it. She's got it limbed in more dogma than she realizes, but she's on the right track. I said when we were talking earlier, as we were setting up, it's like she's. They say putting the cart before the horse, but she's going the right way. She's just so eager to get there. I think that she goes a little too fast sometimes and stumbles. But then what do I know? I mean, she's the gal's on a meteoric rise, and part of that rise is you just keep going and you're firing on your hunches, and that works for a while. And I don't think she's necessarily wrong. I think she's explored a few angles that I frankly wouldn't have, because they just seem so obviously off in the high grass. But I think she's coming at it legitimately from a place of sincerity, and she has exposed a thing or two here or there. So yeah, I take her with a grain of salt, but I think she's on the right track.
Yeah, man, from the high grass, which I'm high off the grass right now. High off the grassy knoll. Okay, right on, dude. Last time we did this, first time we did it, I talked to you about like the fucking Charlie Kirk assassination. This is what we call it, the fucking Charlie Kirk assassination.
That's what I was referring to too, with Owen's take and all that.
Yeah, and sincerely, like a million billion things have happened. So many things have happened.
I know.
So many things. So many little facts. And I'm gonna take a beating, but I wasn't perfectly accurate the first time I talked about it. Okay, yeah, I'm a comedian, so I get to back off and say things.
Right.
I don't have to be right. That's not what I'm going for. I mean, I think when we even talked, this Mr. Tyler Robinson wasn't even pointed out yet. Is that correct?
I don't know if he was. It was very early. You called like the day of, you called the day of, I think.
Day of, day after, something. Yeah, day of, day after.
No, it was the day of. I remember because it hit me pretty hard. And I was like, whoa, okay. And then I was very actually comforted by your call, because I was like, oh, good. Because I tell you what, I was like, when I first got it, I was like, oh, my goodness. All right, I've got a lens of scripture in here, and it's difficult sometimes. But then I really appreciated your call, Kyle. Thank you for that. It was a good call.
Well, I'm a hero. I've always been a hero. I've always been the nicest person on planet Earth.
Well, anyway, it was good. You did my heart good. But yeah, that was rough. And my thought at the time was it was deep state in some capacity. And I don't buy the Israel angle. I still don't. There's some people that get after it, but I think part of that's just there is a bit of a psyop against Israel. But
against it, for it, with it, I'm getting psyop.
All over the place.
I'm getting psyoped to buy fucking Oreos at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
well, the thing of it is, we're in a culture. See, it's a very nuanced issue, and we're in a culture that doesn't understand or encourage nuance. What it wants you to do is be black and white about there not being black and whiteness. Damn it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I respect that. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to go through a few Candace clips. It's from a show she did 4 weeks ago. But, her content is evergreen, as we say. And you can just listen to it over and over and over again, which I do when I go to sleep, really. So we're gonna play a few clips. We're gonna talk about the issues, the particular things she's bringing up, and of course, it's it's fucking, what is it, dude? It's intense. That's what it is. It's intense. And come from my perspective, like, yeah, I'm all day George Carlin. I like it when a lot of people die. I'm all day with the sanctity of human life. I'm a joke. I don't care. I'm a jokester. I don't know. I'm on both sides of all the issues at once. And if I want anything to be anything, I want it to be funny. And that is what it is. But
humor's where that truth intersection between the observed and the unrealized kind of come together. And really, the truth kind of goes on either side of the fence sometimes. It's not necessarily, you got to take care of the orphan and the widow, but if you don't work, you don't eat. See, that's both. That's the double-edged sword to welfare, if you will. So, yeah, anyhow, not to interrupt the lead up to the clip.
No, you did perfect. Your perspective is always so interesting, and that's a nice turn of phrase. What, the widow and the orphan? I'm gonna write it down. Is that from a book?
It might just be. I'm pretty sure. Okay. I'm pretty sure.
Your own kind of poetry then. All right. Hey, so let's watch this clip. Talk about it a little bit, and explore some things. All right, so let's watch it. Let's watch it.
All right.
Now, it is possible, given what we know about Fed-type operations and what we know about the JFK shooting, which we are still not allowed to know the truth about, but we all know what the truth is, that there are often decoys, even decoy sounds, that it is totally plausible that there were multiple people there that day who found out, maybe even in the last hour, which one of them was going to take the shot, right? It is likely that a rifle was fired to muffle the sound of a smaller gun, which maybe actually kind of had to, if we're considering the trajectory that I'm telling you, here to here, kind of had to come from the front of Charlie. And I will say that is now my well-informed opinion that we are looking for a person that was a lot closer to Charlie and likely in the audience. And that goes a long way, by the way, in terms of trying to explain why they're maybe hiding the footage from behind Charlie's head. Maybe that is the reason that footage was so crucial first and foremost. And tons of other cameras, that one gets grabbed first. It seems to me that there's a lot of hiding and there's definitively a lot of lying that's going on. I told you, Tyler Boyer lied. He just lied. The person who took the cameras down was absolutely not instructed to do so by law enforcement. He just wasn't, okay? So why say that? Also, why grab the one behind his head first? Of all the cameras, why that one first and foremost? And when I actually think about the clip that I was shown, it was more to the right. I actually feel that there is this remarkable blind spot on the left of Charlie, which is why I was asking if anybody had footage, not footage if you're sitting there and taking footage this way, but if you are Charlie, I want to see what he would have seen looking slightly to his left.
Yep, the angle to the left. We're back to the left, literally. Kevin. Okay, so
This is not a good Oliver Stone sequel. What is going on here? I don't see Kevin Costner in the cast. What is it? No, I go ahead. Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt. I had to make my little quip.
No, you do it. Perfect. Look, this is, she goes on and on about people and facts and stuff. But first, let's just address this Fed theory, because this is basically what she's doing. She's going back to the historical precedent, right, of these fake assassinations that were clearly orchestrated by the government. All right.
I don't know if I'd say fake, but definitely the government's involved in the killing and they're trying to cover up.
Yeah. And so, we have that history in our nation, killing people who are kind of popular. They're a little popular whether, obviously other people disagreed with them at the time.
Yeah. But U.S. has a penchant for unaliving people, and it's something else. Though I think it's worth noting, it's a symptom of civilization to a degree. I mean, et tu, Brute goes back at least 2,000 years.
Yeah, and we're the Roman Empire, if anything, right?
Well, there does seem to be some comparison made. I'm not dogmatic one way or the other on that. I see a lot of evidence, but at the same time, I see a lot of eisegesis. Eisegesis. That's where you read something into a situation rather than extracting from it what's actually there. So I don't have a concrete opinion on that side of it, but I can see the argument.
Yeah, but when we look at why the federal government would assassinate somebody, do you think Charlie Kirk fits into that category? Someone who is loved and believed and has a little bit of actual power. I mean, again, Turning Point USA, we're going to play a little clip of them later, but real organization, millions of dollars, actual ground roots, fucking movement. All right. And this guy seemed to be at the head of it. It sort of fits the paradigm, don't you think?
Well, yeah, there is that. The thing of, I'd say there's a paradigm where there's motivation, but there's also a side of it that seems irrational. And I think where the disconnect is, you see the picture of Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on the meme, and he's got the bulletin board and he's connecting all the dots and he looks just crazy.
Yeah, well, that's
And
actually the other side of my wall. Is one side's a green screen and the other side is the maps and the photos and
those of us who actually see this stuff. The thing of it is, there's so many things connecting that you feel a bit like that. And what happens is there's a disconnect in that the real connection between it all. It's not necessarily orchestrated just in the area we call the world we live in, the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
There is a good and bad, and there's a good side of like metaphysical domino effects and a bad side of them. And that's part of what's going on as well. And I say that because intelligence agencies, governments, secret societies, within governments and outside of governments, contractors, all that sort of stuff, they intersect with good and bad things that are spiritual. So you do have, when it says in Scripture, spiritual wickedness in high places, you've got organizations that are playing a sort of spiritual underground, you might say, spiritual black market, dark side of it, if you will. You got rituals and stuff going on. You can look at some of the cartels for the blatant stuff, where you have these voodoo rituals and they'll murder people. And then you can look at some of the high society bank, eyes wide shut kind of stuff. The bankers and the high society people are going to there. So when you're talking about government killing somebody, you need to factor in whether or not you believe the spiritual exists. A lot of these high power organizations are led by people who do cotton to these weird rituals. So a guy like Charlie Kirk could be assassinated for something that isn't directly evident in a strictly mainstream geopolitical sense. It could have been a spiritual takedown. And I think there is an aspect to that, which means the expression of deep state that's involved could be direct or proxy. So before, when we talked about it, I thought angle of the
bullet.
Rainbow community. What was that?
The angle of the bullet?
Well, there's something. What Candace was talking about that earlier, and there's something to it. There's something funky in the jungle with that, because
we'll talk about weapons and weaponry at the end. But we were talking about there being a spiritual aspect to his assassination that may not be involved in the geopolitical.
Well, yeah, okay. So I said before that it's possible that particular community, the gender bending community,
the Illuminati.
There's the Baphomet, etc., is involved with these secret societies, and that's the tits and the dick. That's tranny stuff. It really is, in a spiritual sense. So when it comes to there being Utah groups like Armed Queers, is what one's called, there was some government overlap with funding, not USAID funding, but funding like that. It was something like that. They won some award or something in Utah, and apparently this Tyler Robinson's part of that group. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know for sure. I mean, I wasn't there, but it does look like perhaps the cover up here by the government and the motivation could be that funding through a program like USAID internally rather than externally is ultimately responsible for this assassination. And there would be a spiritual component to that, in that one of the demons got off the leash. And so now the other guy, he's like, my demon dog just killed a guy, and it can't be linked to me. Let's get them Jews in here.
So how do you feel about the second shooter, though? So are you saying there's like an interdimensional second shooter, or what's going on here?
I'm saying there's probably a plot, because the roommate of Tyler Robinson skipped town, and there's this text message thread that looks like somebody wrote it in the 12th grade creative writing class. It's just it's either AI or just so poorly done by a Barney Fife in the FBI that's trying to run a cover-up. It's so ridiculous. You've read it, right?
Yeah. That's another one of the
and then that guy
things
skipped
that have
town,
happened.
and nobody's seen that guy skip town. Nobody's seen heads nor tails of him. He could have been a second shooter. I don't know. it looks like there's a coordinated effort because a lot of people were predicting it in this community that's in or adjacent to armed queers in Utah on or around this campus. So in those cliques and those social circles, this was predicted online. And there's a lot of people involved with it. So imagine, if you will, a USAID type funding that results in a coordinated assassination through the group you directly funded with weapons, equipment, resources, space, protection, protected class status, and it's all on you. Imagine that. So the spiritual side of it is, of course, the murder and the mental derangement that led to it, and the cultural aspect that made that possible, and the administration, etc. So that's the negative spiritual wagging the dog, or the carrot before the donkey. That's the motivation. That's the linchpin, if you will, spiritually. But the symptom and the domino effect of that spiritual rot is the murder. Well, and now what caused it has to hide it because of who's involved. It's high enough if indeed there is some government underwriting to it. So I think it might be something like that. I don't know for sure. That's just from what I've seen. So
yeah, I haven't even heard Candace talk about this group. So maybe Candace, maybe you need to send an email to moretips@candace.com. I think.
Well, so far, she might have. I don't know. Well, and I don't know for sure, but that could be your second shooter. It could be that the government assassinated him for a Kennedy reason, but I don't see that being the case. I don't see the Israel side of it being legitimate at all, because it's like a master chessman getting a fool's mate. It's just, is that going to happen? It could, but it doesn't make sense because it's just too on the nose. Too much.
Yeah.
There's
too on the nose.
upside.
Too on the nose for the Jews. Big nose.
Listen, I just watched Predators with Adrian Brody.
Oh, really?
Don't blame me. I'm too on the nose. I've been Freudian conditioned.
Right on. Okay, so let's watch this next clip. Just to highlight a little more of Candace's theory about what's going on here, and the cavalcade of characters that goes along with it. So let's play this right now, okay?
That's the medical examiner. It is a woman named Dr. Deidre Weiss Amaro. Deidre Weiss Amaro is her name, and she blew in from California. She was announced as the new state medical examiner in May of 2024. So I'm interested in learning as much as I can about this medical examiner. I'd like to know more about this medical examiner. And if you've got something, her personally, got a story, please do send it to us at moretips@CandaceOwens.com. By the way, despite the fact that we had this amazing cast of characters, all these Caldera engineering connected people who made it to the mainstream media to talk about what they heard, there was actually one eyewitness there who could not be shoved out of the way and was able to make his way onto Fox News immediately after to provide a description of where he believed the shot came from, and that's Jason Chaffetz, right? Jason Chaffetz is a former politician and a Fox News contributor who was a witness to this event because he is from Utah. He attended this event. He apparently was in communication with Charlie ahead of the event. And I have to say that of everyone that day, he's maybe one of the few people that I would say on the mainstream media that seemed genuinely shaken by the event. He went live, was speaking through what he saw, what he heard, what he was expecting, and he was rebutting, because he was on a couple of shows, rebutting the idea that the shot was from far away. That's very interesting to consider. You got a bunch of kids who are trying to speak and they're getting censored. Then you have a bunch of people that are giving a platform and they seem weird. Jason Chaffetz, however, genuinely, when I looked at the footage, he seemed shaken by the event. And let's hear where Jason Chaffetz says he believes the shot came from. Take a listen.
Being there, seeing it within proximity, it seemed like it was a close shot. The venue is such that there's a 4-story building, which is the administrative building to the south. The other buildings around the side are not quite so high, but you could be on the second level and watch Charlie. The police had moved the people. There were some people that were above Charlie, so that awning that you're seeing there's a place to be there, but the police moved people out to the sides. And so you couldn't be right above where you were at. But if I had to guess, and again, it's still raw, but if I had to guess and give a police statement right here, right now, today, see where that water is? It looked to me like it was in close proximity, straight ahead, right in that area.
Yeah, we're looking
if I had to guess. Again,
it's quite interesting. And then elsewhere, when he's on Fox News and people are saying the shot was from like the Losey building, he doesn't believe that. He doesn't believe that. By the way, Jason Chaffetz, he's been honest about his background. His parents are in the government. They're literally in the FBI.
Yeah, I'm here.
So he's telling you that shot was closer. So what gives? Also, why is everybody telling lies?
The lies. You hear all the lies? Right. So we're okay. You're with the second shooter, right? You're with it.
Well, it definitely seems like there's some hanky-panky, and that's the thing. I don't know what happened, but I do agree that there's some hanky-panky. I think where Candace gets ahead of herself is things like the camera. There was a Turning Point staff guy that grabbed it so nobody else would. Apparently, he admits to it. They've got the footage now. But there's still stuff with the footage. Or maybe I haven't seen the right thing, the most up-to-date thing. I haven't been following it in the last week.
Yeah, last week, right?
But apparently there's some of that.
Yes.
That was, and there's some suspicious stuff, but I don't know for sure. All I know is I do agree there's some things that don't seem quite right.
Yeah, see, this is my thing, right? This is my thing when it comes to this, whatever particularly happened. It's like we have this clear story coming from the Fed. We have a clear story coming from the FBI about Tyler Robinson and the sequence, and he's off the roof, and he's reassembling the gun, and it's in the woods, and it's at the woods. It's, and then, Candace has had a thing about who owns that house, and, there's the theories about the Utah medical examiner coming in, the new FBI guy coming in, there's these Egyptian planes she's always railing about. Okay, there's this company, Caldera Engineering, who has ties to people that are inconvenient, and they're all up on the media.
There's some kind of cover-up going on for sure.
But why is the FBI so, this is what happened, and this is what they tell us, and there's no more discussion about it, and now there's just the trial? What, how can we have this clear line from the federal government, from the FBI, when it seems, absolutely bonkers?
Well, you can't really just go to the history of the FBI. I mean, who started the FBI?
It's a gay man? It's a gay guy.
Well, I don't know about that, but he certainly had some
the hoof? The big hoof.
Call him kinky. Yeah, Hoover. He liked to do vacuum cosplay, is what you might call that.
Yeah, the sucking. A lot of sucking.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the deal was with that guy, but he had some skeletons in his own closet. So
he was in there the closet with the skeletons. Yeah. So
he's like, all right, I'm going to make sure I can get all the skeletons of everybody else who's got a skeleton in their closet. I'm going to figure out what it is, and I'm going to make a big bureau of them. And that's kind of the nexus from which the FBI flowered into the bush of brambles and doofuses it is today. There's some really good people there, but there's also some corruption that goes all the way back to the very beginning. So with the FBI motivations, I mean, that's... Yeah, you got multiple infighting groups with them. Imagine, if you will, that there's some federal aid to a radical group of Marxists, extremists who are in the gender group, and they're in the college, and they're an offshoot of some affiliation or what have you.
And they just voted in New York.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so this assassination takes place from this group that can't be associated with you, and you got a contact in the FBI. So the contact runs interference, and the interference goes up the line, and the line just keeps repeating what was told because the interference came from within, and they don't know they got a mole. So now they're, in the interests of transparency, reporting directly what they were reported, because think about it. If you're running the organization, you can't be on the ground at the same time. And if you're being transparent and getting everything out as quick as you can. So if you got a bad egg, if you got a bad conduit, if you got a bit of poison in the well and it gets to the top, I mean, you're not going to know until you screw up and people point it out. So part of it, even if the FBI is in good faith, is probably just going to be infrastructural static, if you will, bureaucratic static of the command infrastructure of the way information goes from point A to point B. So I think that might be part of it if there is no wider hidden motivation. But there's also every possibility that, for example, maybe there were some FBI informants in the Queers with Guns group.
Yeah, so
they don't want that
you're really saying is that Candace needs to chase down the queers. She needs to smear the queer and not go after Israel or any other group. She needs to do more investigation into the queer people. This is what I'm hearing.
At least this group that was predicting Charlie Kirk's death right before it happened, and
Oh, like the witches, like those witches. That's another thing that came out. The witches with the plot and the spell.
Also cursed Trump though, and he didn't get killed. So there's something. There's spiritual rules at play, and I'm not. Well, you might say I am into the woo woo, but I don't know that I would call it the woo woo. But there are spiritual rules at play that I don't think are as evident or A plus
A
one
plus
plus
B
three
equals,
equals
yeah,
three.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think it's quite as straightforward as we think.
Yeah,
because,
quadratic equation of most events.
well, think about it like this. If you drop a rock or a ball or a feather or something, whatever you drop, it's going to fall, it's going to impact, it might bounce, it might roll, but there's physics at play, right?
Sure.
Okay. So there's a physics to reality. Now, metaphysics is beyond three-dimensional physics, but it's definitely something real. It's called supernatural, but it's a part of the natural. It's like the cradle around the natural. So if there's a physics to reality, there's probably a metaphysics. There's a action, each action has a reaction type of thing, but in a metaphysical, spiritual sense. There's something like that probably as well, and it probably has to do with doing right or wrong in the scenario you find yourself in. Just kind of like, if you're walking down the steps and you don't step right, you're going to fall. But if you know what you're doing, you can skip steps. You're fine.
I get you. So, and everyone's operating like that. And in this idea of the secret society, you don't exactly know who's on whose side and which steps everyone's taking, right?
Yeah, there's that. Well, there is a way to know. You know them by their fruits, it says scripturally, and that's kind of how you vet people who have their heart in the right place. Another thing is somebody who doesn't know the Lord won't say Jesus is Lord. That's a big part of it. It's or that he came in the flesh, died and rose again.
Christ is king?
Yeah, Christ is king. Amen.
Christ is king?
Amen. But for real, there's something that in like a weird cult spiritual sense where they've got to weasel around that, if you're real frank about it, which is very interesting. It's kind of like, come on, you just lie. Why aren't you? It's weird. There's a weirdness to that. So that's more though, that's more for something like if you're trying to determine if the church is really on the level, because what'll happen is there's these new interpretations that try to gnostify. I'm making up that word just now.
No, it sounds right. No, it sounds right. I read it in the dictionary one time. I'll say it.
Gnostics, gnosis, to know. So that's this religious sect from back in the day, around the time the Gospels were written or just after. And they try and de-physicalize Christ to make him some sort of spiritual apparition in vogue with the spiritual trends, the lore of the time. And so what they did is they would do things like he was walking on the beach and leaving no footprints. That's not in the scripture at all. They'd add stuff like that, or they'd take stuff out. That tradition partially happened as Rome, because eventually you had Constantine coming over, and he made it a state religion. Well, before that, you had a bunch of pagan religions. So part of this process is ultimately there's a bit of a combination between the pagan religions and Christianity, and that's kind of the Gnostic side of it creeping in. So a lot of the pagan ideologies, a lot of the secret societies, they'll have this sort of Gnostic version of Christ that isn't really Christ. So they'll use terms you're familiar with, but it turns out they're not really talking about the Christ of the Bible, the Yahweh, the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're talking about a sort of New Age inversion that's meant to trip you down the wrong path, basically.
Yeah,
I've heard.
So when you talk about the new Oprah Winfrey, Candace Owens, where do you think she's?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Where do you think? Where do you think?
That's got legs. You could do something with that as a bit.
And I will. That's pretty good. And I will. Where is she fallen in this battle that you're describing, and this sort of? Yeah, it's like it's the thing that's been going on since the beginning of time, right? I go on about the aliens nowadays, when it comes to this conversation. But
I put it to you this way:
where is she? Where is she? That's the important part.
I'll tell you right where she's at, but I want to tell it in sort of. So David murdered a dude to bang his wife.
Yeah, it's on Netflix right now, right? Yep. It's on Prime. Right?
Well,
the story of David show.
That happened. That was wrong. Just to clarify, that was wrong. And he had to repent of that, and God spanked him for it. David's a man after God's own heart. He was forgiven because he repented, but he paid for it. I mean, dead son, and his house was never in order again after that. One of his sons banged his sister, all sorts of shenanigans. So that's David, a man after God's own heart. Now, Candace Owens, she's trying her best. Here's the thing. I don't think anybody in the world gets through unscathed without messing up in some way. Maybe some mess up less than others. And if you don't ever mess up, then you're going to be subject to very difficult trials and tribulations, a la Joseph in Scripture, who had to go through jail and whatnot before becoming Grand Vizier of Egypt, but being rejected by his brothers and being the youngest one and yada, yada. So, that's just an example. But there is a pattern nature to reality where either we mess up and we come to repentance, or we're good enough to take the trials and tribulations forever, and then there's some sort of woof, you had a destiny, son. But I think when you look at Candace and you look at David, you see, okay, here's a biblical character. They're honest enough to say he murdered a dude to bang his wife, and it didn't go good for him, but he got over it, and God still loved him anyway and blessed him anyway, because he forgives. And you look at Candace, she ain't murdered any dude or any girl to bang her husband or anything. She's just getting a little spicy on the internet. So I think her heart can be in the right place, and she can be wrong. I think she can mean to do stuff and make mistakes. And I don't know if she's made mistakes yet. What I think is that she's so passionate about getting to the bottom of how her friend was murdered that she has jumped the gun a few times and read something into the situation that may not have been there. However, I don't think she's wrong that there's some hanky-panky afoot. I think there's definitely some kind of cover-up going on. The question is who and what and where and how. And I applaud her for giving it a shot. I don't think anybody going after this is going to be able to get it right all the way because there's just so much static.
Static from the 12 Israeli cell phones that were there that day.
Probably. I mean, but I don't.
Yeah, that's not very suspicious. I mean, Turning Point USA, pro-Israel organization. I don't understand how that's a surprise or even moderately interesting.
I don't either. Especially it's not even when there's a lot of resources involved in something, and there's a folk who have resources that on a particular side of a political issue. Generally, that's just to be expected. So that doesn't really stimulate my conspiratorial side of things very much.
Yeah, the furries are the one who stir your conspiratorialness. And
furries are funky, man. That's
okay. Hey,
let's. Speaking of which, okay, wait a second.
Go ahead.
Wait a second. There's some weird programming stuff that happens through like anime and stuff. Okay, have you heard of this anime, Wolf's Children?
We're getting a little off topic here. No.
No, this is on topic. This is on topic.
This is on topic?
You'll see.
I ain't seen no anime called Wolf Children.
Okay, so this woman has babies with a werewolf,
okay,
right?
That's happened.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. You think, okay, the guy turns into a werewolf once a month. Okay, so she fell in love with him. Oh, but he becomes this monster, but then he becomes a nice, pretty guy again. And I'm like, okay, so she's got werewolf children and she's got to raise them as a single mama. Okay, but I love this. Could be a fun movie. I start watching it. He meets the werewolf guy. He's just a dude. He fucks her while he's the werewolf. Not like as the dude, not like he becomes the werewolf. This is the furry stuff. I'm not even joking. Because like, why?
And it's animated, right? It's animated. That's really what.
Yeah, it's animated. I couldn't get past that part. Like I had to stop. I was like, what is this? And I was done. I don't know what happens after that because I was so off put by the fact that, and it's sold to you like a Ghibli movie. Like the painting is pastel, like the colors are all pastels, you know? It's all gently animated. And then like you see this and it's not like a graphic scene, but it's just that it is a scene that's definitely that. And you're like, what the he's a guy most of the time.
The well is poisoned. The well is poisoned.
Right. So that is poison in the well right there. So when we're talking about furries, part of this is there's a hunger and a desire for weird pervert things, and some of them are presented in a code switching way. Instead of being presented like some sleazy Felix the cat, big old nipples, yada yada, it's presented like Ghibli. So the propaganda, and Disney's real getting into this kind of stuff.
You mean Ghibli, like Studio Ghibli?
I'm not calling them out. I'm saying that the presentation matches that sort of aesthetic where it seems wholesome. So, you know, if you there's one thing to have the sleaze be sleazy. There's another thing to make the sleaze feel wholesome. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm trying to apply this. I shouldn't have mentioned furries.
Okay. So you're dealing with furries. A lot of the subculture of these psychosexual groups
are murderous. Their intent is murderous.
It's fed by the pop culture, and the pop culture is often controlled by intelligence constellations. Contracting agencies, CIA directly. I mean, there's that movie that Ben Affleck made. You know what I'm talking about?
Argo.
Yeah, that's the one. That's based on a true story. Well, I mean, if he's able to make a movie about that in the 70s, you know, they've been doing it since they could do it, so forever. You know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are going to this next clip. All right, you ready?
All right.
I want to be very clear. It's possible that people at Turning Point are simply terrified. That's definitely a possibility here. They are very much aware of what these people are capable of, and maybe they're just trying to get by, and they're being told what to say and what to do, and they want to keep the peace. But here's what I think may have happened. I think that I accidentally ruined the Fed narrative. I think the plan was to never allow the back footage of Charlie to see the light of day. It never was allowed to see the light of day. That way, they were going to say that they recovered a 30-06 bullet, right? Instantly, we recovered a 30-06 bullet. They were, maybe when they were digging stuff up, and there it was, and it went through, we wouldn't have known, we would have been none the wiser, right? No one else is telling us anything or showing us anything. And I think they were going to say, or the other option, like it completely took his neck out, we wouldn't have been any wiser. But then I watched it, and the thing that jumped out at me was that not only did the bullet not pierce through, that there wasn't a single dot of blood on Charlie's bleach white shirt until he falls out of frame and onto the ground. I think we accidentally ruined what they were going to try to do to frame this. I think they wanted this to be a 30-06 narrative. And now they're going to have a lot of difficulty getting that through a courtroom. They panicked. They tried to explain it away. They're saying that it's a miracle. I don't think it is. It obviously was not a miracle. I think it is likely that what we should be looking for are two people that had weapons that day. Somebody that was in the audience, somebody that was elsewhere with a rifle.
All right, talking about the Turning Point people, talking about these cats. You know, as a conservative Christian, right?
Yeah.
As just a Christian scripture guy, do you think how their behavior has been is appropriate? You know, Candace seems to, you know, say they're lying, saying they're doing stuff that they're not told. You know, and she has her issue with them, and I trust her implicitly. Have I not made that clear? I trust her with my whole heart.
I think it might be something like this. I don't know for sure. I'm just firing straight from the hip. This is just the impression I get. They probably know what happened and they can't say for varying reasons, and they're not liars, so they're kind of stuck, and it makes them come across awkward.
Okay, and they know the truth. They're totally bought in.
I bet you they do.
Like
I'll
you.
bet you.
Okay, yeah, and like you are, they're blaming the queers, right?
I'm not. This is why I brought up the thing about the wolf children. That's an anime movie that didn't come out of San Francisco. That came out of Japan. There's a cultural aspect to this that's spiritual. The whole gay thing is a sexual, spiritual blight, and it's not the only sort. There's also a polygamous type. There's a kink type. There's a furry type. There's a trans type, which is kind of a derivative type. It's kind of like a spin-off, It's kind of like a. What you got? You had the Cheers, and then you had that one with Kelsey Grammer.
Frasier.
Yeah, it's a Frasier to the Cheers.
Weird. I just did an interview. I just did
Cheers and trannies for Frasier.
Yeah. And it's so weird. It's so weird you mentioned Frasier. I was just talking about Frasier with this girl I just did an interview with on Sunday. But
Well, I never watched it much. That's why I was making the joke. So I don't know if it's any good. So I'm not going to shade it if I ain't seen it. But I'm just making fun. Well, I am going to shade it.
Yeah, and in reference to these turning point people, like this is the paradigm that they're living in.
Well, I think it's not a paradigm I hate toward gay. It's a paradigm of spiritually the world we're living in is under a spiritual assault. And the truth of the matter is, we can see that pretty easy. I mean, even if you're not a follower of Christ, you can see there's an aspect to what's going on that's not strictly A plus B equals C. It's not strictly causal. It's not strictly natural. It is. It's supernatural. That's part of the natural, but it's not what we're used to. There's too many coincidences, too many things stack up too regularly. So I think there's definitely that going on. And with Turning Point, you got people that are recognizing there's a spiritual component to things. They may not always be the best in expressing it, but this group that may or may not have done it, what I'm positing, I don't hold the I think that the sexual side of it is an aspect of spiritual infection, if you will. So I don't really.
Oh God.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing as addiction. It's the same thing as like opiate addiction. Maybe that's even worse to say, but I've seen people cure to that, and I've seen people who leave the other lifestyle. I mean, I've met them. I've seen it. There's high profile. There's thousands of detransitioning stories right now. People who like got parts of their body chopped off or modified.
It's big on my Instagram feed right now. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Isn't that fun? It's like, wow, I didn't like to see you go through the journey forward and backward just as fun. God help God help us. No, and I'm not making fun because that's hard, and I think they do need to keep putting that stuff out there because the world needs to see what these poor folks went through and not do that again. But the truth is, this is something like that. So I'm not blaming people for being addicted to opiates. You understand what I'm saying here? But at the same time, hide your shiny shit.
Right on.
You know what I mean?
I mean, Kevin Bennett's blaming Tyler Robinson. I'm hearing you. I believe it.
Well, if that's the sector that's involved here, that's going to be the perspective of the Turning Point people. Basically, they don't hate the person. It's love the sinner, hate the sin. You don't hate the dope fiend. You have to respect the condition they're in. But it's not even the dope. It's the bad decisions and the situation. And you want them to get out of that situation, and they can, but it ain't easy.
Okay, right on. Now moving on to this. See, this is why it's all so big, and I'm trying to like hear you out. And of course, I have my own predilections about what I thought happened. It's exactly what Candace thinks.
Well, I don't know for sure, but you're just hearing what it looks like to me.
Yeah. So let's talk about the bullet and the gun.
Yeah, but she was talking about it didn't seem like no 30-06.
What is that about? I mean, I have this last clip. I don't know. I don't think we'll show it, but talking about the trajectory and asking for ballistic help. What is going on with this bullet? You're from Wyoming. You know about guns. Help me out. What am I missing? And that's really the big sell on this story. The big sell on the story. Blaming whoever or saying there's hanky-panky. It's all about the fucking gun, the wound, and the bullet.
I know a little bit about guns. when I was in fourth or fifth grade, we went quail hunting. I had my BB gun. My dad had a shotgun. That shotgun was loud, and man, it hurt you to fire it. I fired a 22 or something at church camp before, I believe. Maybe one or two other times. 22 is nothing. I haven't played around with a 30-06 actually. But I remember when we went hunting, they let the pheasants out, and I took a shot with my BB gun, and I got one from about, I don't know, it's probably 100 feet or something. It's a pretty good shot for a kid with a BB gun. And we ate that pheasant because Dad didn't get one the whole time. It was one of those things where you catch and release sort of thing, but you buy the pheasants, you release them, you go hunt them down. That's a thing that happens out in South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming. And I haven't done extensive hunting. Shotgun's very loud, sends a big old cloud of BBs. 30-06 ain't a shotgun, it's a rifle round. I know people who hunt with that stuff. They'll say things like it'll go right through a buck, it'll go right through the deer. And with respect to Charlie Kirk, all I've heard is that the bullets are much higher caliber than the damage that was seen and observed. The bullet would have to be magic. It would have to go off a steel neck and reverberate around. And so that's lending. I need to have more caffeine. That's lending credence to the second shooter theory that this is not a 30-06 round. It came from somewhere else. And that's why it doesn't have blood coming down the shirt, and his head didn't practically explode off his shoulders. So I don't know for sure on that. I've done some shooting. I am a proud supporter of the Second Amendment, and actually after 2020, I went out and got myself a handgun.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to the range, you do your shooting, you clean it up, and you want to do that, know what you're dealing with. The first time you get a gun, you might go to the range and not know what you're doing. When the casing pops back to kick the shell out, it'll scratch your hand if you ain't holding the dang thing right. So you got to pay attention to stuff like that. You got to test it. But I'm not a big gun guy. I just think I agree with Charlie's stance on it. He was right. And these people don't, because they don't want guys like me to have some basic competence if the shit hits the fan. And the people who want the shit to hit the fan have this spiritual shenanigans with them. And that's probably what we're dealing with in Utah, a clutch of those that have been infected by this thing, kind of like an addiction. And right now, the rainbow community is one of the spearheads of the Marxist Socialist Front. They're acting as a rainbow brown shirt, if you will, not everywhere, but in a certain capacity. It's not nothing that all the media is now with the message stuff.
Right on. So, and you think this group or cabal of people are competent enough to do something like a fucking...
No. They're specifically incompetent, but they're controllable.
Which is why this narrative is so silly and so dumb.
Well, and it's not just these guys. This is just how the whole shebang operates. So, for example, part of the reason BLM did what they did over the 2020 summer and burned so much stuff down is people were afraid of passing a certain legislation for the repercussions of the crowd because of riots like that. So it was really, I think the term is force majeure, but that might not be the right term. It was really...
I'm sure there's some French word to describe it perfectly.
Probably.
Just one nice German word to describe what we're talking about.
Well, it was just, ruled by force of numbers and just barbarism. And it was a similar, you're talking about tactics right out of a Marxist playbook and the sort of groups that they use to enact those strategies. So you before had the privileged and non-privileged, the worker, the proletariat, and the bourgeoisie was the original incarnation of this. What we're looking at is a reboot, a rebrand. It's the same thing, but instead of the haves and the have-nots, it's the privileged and the non-privileged. So with that, you have the rainbow community, you have various minorities that have emigrated illegally, illegal aliens.
Hey, alto con sus palabras. Un momento.
Yeah, well, you'll have that. You're also going to have the Islamic component, which is increasingly forceful. We've seen that in New York in recent days, and these are all going to be stirred up against the status quo in a haves versus haves not motif. So instead of haves versus have not, these are the underprivileged. The white, straight, Caucasian Christians are the privileged. Therefore, they deserve all the ire that is thrown at them because they've stolen from the rest. That's the ideology. It's a Marxist strategy playbook. So when that infectious ideology takes over a group of, say furries at a campus, they might hatch a plot where two of them go in with a gun, or the government could have killed him for some reason, but it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me that Israel or the CIA had it in for this kid. It does make sense that deep state operations, the spiritual aspect of it, they would influence a group like that to do that. Or you could have the deep state going after him for spiritual reasons as well. But I think there's something funky going on. I don't know what. So I'm just spitballing on what I think it might be based on what I've seen. And what I've seen is there's something funky. The gunshot wound doesn't quite add up. The camera hanky-panky. Okay, a turning point. Guy admitted to it. They've got a backstory that's kind of weird. Something's going on. I think what it is they know who's responsible. And it gives the government a black eye. And the root of it is this spiritual evil.
Interesting stuff. Well, I'm glad to get your take again on it. I mean, Tyler, we're not allowed to see him in court. I mean, the only thing we hear from him,
he may or may not have done it. He might have been a backup. He might have been a patsy. He might have been the one who did it. I don't know.
And
but
then,
it's weird.
Yeah, we talk about Mr. Zinn and all the things he's involved with. Somehow I hear Tyler Robinson. I think Candace went there and said it. It's like he went to some kind of school the CIA recruits from, and he has incredible standardized test scores. And you're giving a lot of credence to the feds. And
the CIA. It's sort of my perspective. I've come to the perspective, and I don't think I'm alone in it. I think I've just stumbled onto it, that the CIA is in our time what the Masons or Illuminati were in like the 1800s up to about World War I. I think World War I's the culmination of the CIA of the 18th century, which would have been Illuminati or Freemasons. It would have been secret societies that are the intelligence agencies. I think World War I was the culmination of their spiritual chicanery. And after that, you had a quickening, as it were, resulted in World War II. And after World War II, you get the modern intelligence community. CIA dovetailed off of operational strategic services at the OSS. So I think what's happened is in modern society, that's the niche they occupy. And if you look into these intelligence agencies, there's weird spiritual shenanigans going on.
Mm-hmm. And instead of pointing the guns to Israel, we should be pointing more at the other side. Because I mean, for some reason, for some reason, it's all connected, right? Because you talk about the haves and haves not. Who are the privileged? The most privileged people in the world right now are obviously Jewish. They got a lot of money, and they think various things. There's various groupings of them too, and so maybe they get tied in that way, but. This is what we're talking about. It isn't like most
destiny is a very it's a nuanced issue, and I can get into it, and I'm into it. I'll give you what I got, but it is a nuanced issue. So Israel, God makes a covenant with Israel that has no end to it, no time limit to it. It doesn't end, and it's reinforced at the end of the Old Testament. Last verses of Isaiah, last chapter, he says there's going to be he's going to work with Israel forever, essentially, through eternity. And Israel, New Jerusalem, is where Christ rules the world from in the millennial reign. And then New Jerusalem is the city that is the size of the moon if you cut the curves off of it, that comes down into the new heaven and the new earth. Now, geographically, if it's a new heaven and a new earth, I don't know if it'll be over the Middle East or not, but the city's called New Jerusalem for eternity. So Israel has a destiny that the church doesn't replace, and there's a lot of replacement theology out there. However, Israel has a history that's cyclical of really screwing the pooch. So I'm in Ezekiel right now, which comes after Jeremiah in the Old Testament. And I just read the Bible. I try to read the Bible daily, with breakfast usually, and it's a living document because God speaks through it. Believe it or not, He'll speak to you through it if you listen and you're ready for it, or if you got the faith. I mean, He'll talk to you. It's that simple. I'm not trying to say that as a bragging thing. I'm not saying I know what I'm just saying.
Yeah, there are conduits into the interdimensional forces out there.
Yeah. Well, and God will talk to you through His Word. It's a living document. It's a literary fractal that has no end. Now, God is Israel in a way where they come to Him and they fall away. They come to Him and they fall away. Eventually, they avoid the Sabbaths and they get into witchcraft. When they say they let their children pass through the flame, that means they had their firstborn children as human sacrifices to Moloch. There's an abortion parallel there, but that's another rabbit trail. Point being, they got straight up pagan, and they forgot even to give the land a Sabbath year for like 70 years or 400. I'd have to look at it to get the numbers right. So they get shipped off to Babylon, and then they don't come back for 70 years, and then they come back to the land of Israel. This is in the Old Testament after the Exodus from Egypt, after King David and all that. Basically, King David has a great, wonderful kingdom. Solomon does too, but then his son's a little stinker. And so Judah stays as one kingdom. That's where Jerusalem is. And then the other 11 kingdoms go and buzz off. But don't get into the lost tribe theory. There is an aspect of it with Dan we're going to get into. So basically, Israel always has this vacillation. And one prophet likens Israel to a wife that whores herself out. And Ezekiel talks about Israel being two sisters, a Holabah and a Hula or something. It's just, I don't remember, but it's like that. And they're both whores. They're literal whores. And he goes into detail about young men with issue-like horses from Egypt banging these whores. I'm dead. This is what God told Ezekiel. And it is Holy Scripture today, and it was written 3,000 years or whatever ago. So there's something, I don't think God was being disrespectful. He was giving you a picture, and then He's going to redeem them and bring them back. After their whores, He's going to forgive them and bring them back. But this is God's girlfriend, Israel, if you will. And
my stepmom. I'm an American, and they're my stepmom.
There you go. Well, point being, as a metaphor, this is how he's likening what's been going on. And what the whoredoms are idols. They're idolatry, they're paganism, they're witchcraft, they're what became the Kabbalah, all that stuff. And he wants to redeem them anyway. It's like God's girlfriend's a stinker, but what are you going to do? Are you going to correct her? What's God going to do if you do that, even if you're in the right? Because it's God's girlfriend. I'm not saying God's quite like that, but there's a likening of the relationship between God and Israel to something like that. So Israel's got this ebb and flow, give and take. Now in Revelation, it talks about the synagogue of Satan. The synagogue of Satan might be the tribe of Dan. The tribe of Dan is said to be an adder, a serpent in the way that bites his brethren as they go along innocently on their path. And Dan is the judge. And ultimately, it could be argued, and there are people who argue, that this is where a sort of jurisprudence, satanic deception comes from, law used to advance anti-God living, the synagogue of Satan. That's the idea that deep state activity to a certain extent in governance might be a sort of tribe of Dan thing. And if that's the case, you should be able to see that through history. There's a guy named Chuck Missler. I would highly recommend him. He does a study on this, where he talks about the tribe of Dan through history and how what we might be seeing as some of Jewish activity today is actually tribe of Dan. It's synagogue of Satan, which is spoken of in Revelation. What's really interesting is the tribe of Dan is not included in the 12,000 sealed. So there's 144,000 sealed total, and the Jehovah's Witnesses are like, you can be one because we don't know how population works. And they're wrong.
Yeah,
However,
that's a good Jehovah's Witness impression.
I've worked on it for years. However, Revelation says clearly that it's 12,000 from the tribe of Reuben, 12,000 from the tribe of Gad, Joseph, etc. Every tribe but Dan, 144,000. And they're all virgins. It may be that what Israel's doing makes it so the only people who survive in this Revelation scenario are the children. And the adults don't make it because they've been so wicked. Now, I hope that doesn't happen. But it says there's 12,000 from each tribe that are sealed, and God takes in this special sort of rapture. I think that might be what it is. I'm going to have to go reread it from Israel. It's very interesting. I don't know what that means, but Israel comes forward and back, and a lot of times they disobey God, and he keeps a remnant. That's what he does through the Old Testament. So with Israel, with respect to Israel, see, this is why I say it's a nuanced issue. It's important to have support for God and the original vine from which sprang this Christ ultimately that gives the whole world salvation. We've been grafted in, as Paul says. So that is important, and there's covenant that's still going on with Israel. At the same time, Israel has a consistent habit of veering over to the dark side in the worst possible way throughout all history, and God redeeming them back. And I think part of it has to do, in the greater scheme of things, metaphysically, metacosmically, with the drama of mankind itself in the original sin and redemption from that through Christ, all mankind. It's like Israel's a microcosm of all mankind, and that's why God chose them, because they're the best and the worst extreme in one people. I think there's something to that. I may be wrong. Point being, what we're seeing today with all this Israel hate, number one, there's a satanic aspect to hating Israel. Number two, it's being fueled by the synagogue of Satan, which may be Danites, but I don't know for sure. What I know is I support Israel. I don't support them when they're doing evil, kind of like you support a family member even if you don't support their meth habit.
Interesting take. You're on all sides of it. I do really respect this, because it's, you're given a lot of room. It's like saying, it's multifaceted. Different factions within one. It's,
so much new. This is what I mean by nuance. It's like reading the book of Dune, trying to get your head around it. And the book of Dune is plans within plans.
Wait, the book of Dune, is that in the Old Testament or the New? I forget. Sorry, bud. Just got to do the joke. My bad.
Fair play. But no, it is like that. So that's why I say it's a long issue. It's nuanced, and then we haven't even really gotten into the deep history of Israel through the ages.
And we don't have time for that.
No.
Nope.
I mean, it's like a 12-hour conversation just to really give. It's crazy.
Yeah, let's make a series.
I'm German.
Hey, but
German, Scottish, Irish, French, but.
And speaking about it, we all have our places to take inside the long, wild conversation. And I mean, and just to bring it on home, just one last little thing about it. It's like, when we're out here assigning blame and trying to figure out the true nature of things, I mean, that's not necessarily the point, right? I mean, the point is to explore within yourself and your own personal relationship with the truth. And, for some people, that truth is God and Jesus Christ. For Candace, it is, obviously. But,
I think for the most part, yeah. I think she's gotten a few, I think there's a few denominational dogmas she may not realize she's adopted, but I think her heart's sincere. And that's the thing about, following Christ. It's about where you're at in your heart. It's, if you really mean to follow and do the right thing, it's sincerely, if you're there in good faith, boom, you're good.
And you're allowed to make mistakes.
And what he'll do is he'll show them to you and help you get over it. But now here's the thing. Some mistakes are more grievous than others. Sometimes you just wear the wrong tie and it's goosed and you're a little bit embarrassed. Sometimes you buy an asbestos tie. And I don't know how you did that, but that's the worst fuck up,
There's lead in my tie.
Yeah, there's lead. Why did my pinky fall off? What's going on here?
Yeah, a lot of respect. I'm feeling it. Talk about it. All right, I'll check in with you later, Kevin. You've been wonderful. I think you should talk to Ted Cruz. First off, I think you and Ted Cruz need to talk to each other immediately.
Yeah,
but
he's got some idea of the right thing, but at the same time, I think you've got high interests that have access to money that are corrupting the issue and giving it even more nuance to a level I don't even understand, because there's so many. You ever watch Better Call Saul?
All right, I gotta cut. We gotta get out of here. It's been going on way too long. And if you want to watch the show, we can. Okay.
Right.
So I appreciate you, bud. I'm gonna talk to you soon, and check in with you. Give a little speech about all the things you're doing.
Okay. Well, I got a few road gigs out here in Montana and Wyoming for Christmas. And I got a few music gigs as well, High Rise in the 11s. Watch for us in the Black Hills if you're ever around here. I just finished book 4 of the Liminal Era series that aren't really formally published yet. I've been published before y'all, Amphibian and The Thief and the Sacrifice of the books, but the thing of it is, it's a whole thing. So I'm doing it on my own now.
Yeah, you were doing it inside the Matrix.
Yeah, if you hear tell of this, reach out. I'll send you a copy for $50. That's a screaming deal because I should be charging $100 on them. I bind them myself. Kyle's got a copy. It's a really nice copy, isn't it?
Yeah, and I paid you for it. I paid you handsomely.
He did. He paid me in a $1 bill that had a little mustache drawn handsomely on George
Washington's tiny little mustache. Tiny mustache.
Tiny little mustache. It was very French. There's that classic French. But anyway, so there's that. And I got some music. Look up Metaphysical Inertia. It's a fun song. And I don't know. High Rise in the 11s are the bands in the Black Hills. And look for those books. Just trying to get them done. It is wavy mind time near 1 a.m. where I am. He's only at midnight, this guy.
Yeah, and we got to close it up. So appreciate you, bud. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, catch you later.
All right, that's my bud, Kevin Bennett. Crazy guy. He's on it. He's with it. There is a lot of angles and trajectories of the assassination, of the forces at play. Candace talks all day about the spirituality of what's going on. And is she seeing the whole thing? I'm not sure. I believe her. I believe everything. Who did it? Not Tyler. Kevin thinks it's Tyler. Isn't that reasonable? Reasonable take to think it's the guy the FBI blames. I'm not hating on it. All right, I get, that was the pod. You're welcome. I hope you liked it. I hope you went off with me on it. Again, is anyone talking about this shit? Seriously, there's a whole angle to society that I'm really trying to push in on, okay? And it's insane and ridiculous. And as a comedian, I'm meant to do it. As a comedian, I will be on the edge. I will find the edge. Okay, yes, a lot of the popular guys now are in the thick of it. They're in the trenches. All right, I want to be the guy fucking working on new technology in the back end. I'm trying to learn how to gas people, okay? In World War I. Did Kevin mention World War I during that phone call? It was a long phone call. Holy shit. Hope he went off on it. All right, thank you guys so much. Like it, subscribe to it. More of this. There's going to be more of me doing shit like this. Can you believe that? How many days? How many weeks? When am I going to die? Who knows? Right on. You love it. You hate it. Keep rocking it. I'm gone.